Cringe away, yeah. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Sean. I am the host of Follower with Questions. This is a Christian podcast, and I am joined today with Lisa.
Hey, hey, everybody. That was my cue.
Today, we are talking about the five most common questions that Christians get asked today. Um, Basically, just kind of went on to ChatGPT and looked up what was the top five questions, and this is what it spit out for us. So I'm just going to jump into it. And the first one, it says, if God is loving, why is there so much suffering in the world? And I'll let you start off.
I'm in the hot seat. All right, let's see. Why is there so much suffering in the world? If the question is, if God is good, why is there so much suffering in the world? Is that,
Yeah, it's a classic problem of evil question. People often wonder how a loving and all powerful God allows pain and tragedy.
well, let's see. I am, okay, allows, because I've heard people say that. Why does he allow? And I wonder if, if allowing is the same as it just being the consequence of our actions and our choices. So I guess they're asking, why does he not intervene? So if I'm about to stub my toe, why does he not come kick the chair out of the way so my toe isn't
Yeah,
hurt? And
yeah,
well, but I think it just I think it all goes back to Genesis 3, where it just explains, we see the fall, Adam and Eve in the garden, and I think that not just being deceived, that Adam and Eve not just being deceived, but I think their motive of disobeying God was ego. And so I think that yeah, ego getting in the way led to sin, and that is, yeah, thanks Adam, thanks Eve. But because of those two, we we also, our little fleshy bodies also are full of ego, and yeah.
that's yeah. I agree with that. I mean, my biggest standpoint with that would be when there's happy, there's sad, and we are all given our free will to either love God or not love God. um he definitely wants us to be loving with him, and he sent his son to save us. But you know, with the suffering in the world, like I said, the free will that comes into play, where you
Mhm.
have there's no we can't control wars. Now, yes, God can intervene in the wars that happens, in Exodus and all that stuff. But those were also, the Israelites, his people. We're not considered his, I guess, people. Um, so, and also it was also a test of will with them too. It was also a test. So, if they had 10,000 troops, and God said you can do it in 500 troops. So it's all about the testing, and I think we have definitely squandered and wandered away from the actual loving of God. We had this kind of a fake facade of, yes, I love God. We had that kind of like fake face towards him. Yeah, I love God, but oh, he doesn't give me this, so it's his fault kind of thing. Um, so I think they know, like, the back in biblical times, they devoted their lives to God. It was, wake up, pray, eat, pray, all this. It was constantly loving God. And now we're in a world where God is on the back burner for us. It's, if he needs something, now we go to God for it. It's not, I'm devoting my life completely to him. So I think, it comes into play of, he he wants to intervene, and I think he does intervene definitely with people. I mean, uh, there's the countless bombings, or Humvees being blown up in wars, to where some survive. I think it's just
Mhm.
it's everybody has a set time frame of when they're gonna die, and it even says in the Bible that the people who die earlier than they're supposed to be is holy. So I think everybody has a plan in their life, and if for some reason that plan comes to an end, then it's part of that. And now you can also argue with the whole, oh well, these kids being shot in schools, they didn't they get to do their plan. Well, that comes into play with we have that a chance to be free, our free will. So there also is evil people in the world, and um, I think the biggest quote that I've seen so far that kind of was amazed me was, and this is kind of like this would be a different topic. I'm just gonna kind of keep it short and brief. Back then, when Jesus was born, there was a way to where Satan was trying to make sure Jesus was dead, so he had all the firstborns killed for king. The king told all the firstborns to be killed. This day and age, we're doing the same thing. It's abortion. So there's definitely free will that comes into play. It's just you have to be more awake and notice that, hey, this is going on, and yes, it can't be stopped, but there is power in prayer and there is power of God that can do things, and He listens always. But you have to be devoted to it, and you have to have a bond with Him.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's yeah. I wanted to make sure I stayed close into topic with that. I didn't want to go off topic with the whole abortion thing because that's
Yeah.
a whole different thing.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
whole
episode 2.
yeah, a whole episode. Um, Now this one I also the second question I also battled myself when I went to many other churches. Like when I church hopped, I asked the same question: do you think everyone who isn't a Christian is going to hell? And it's a questions about salvation, heaven, and hell come up a lot, especially regarding inclusivity of God's judgment.
I only wrote a few little notes because this is one that has a lot of branches on it. But the way I understand it is gosh, okay. So in John 14, he says Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but through me. So oh, and then what's the other verse about speaking? Oh my gosh, about in Romans, that declaring with your mouth that Jesus is Lord. I forgot which Romans it is. So it appears like that it's an all-out rejection that sends you or not sends you. It's the rejection that separates you from God. So not so much of God going around going, you know, boom, you don't get to go to heaven. Boom, you don't get
Mhm.
to, but I think it's just people rejecting God. I could be wrong on that. I hope somebody else could chime in because I would love to hear some more, uh, yeah, some more
Yeah,
insight to that.
yeah. I mean that's the biggest thing. I mean, like I think every Christian battles with that kind of question. Because we hear that God is all loving, but also at the same time, God does say that those who should be punished will be punished. So we aren't ones to judge, but He is the final judge of that. I mean, in the Old Testament, it does say that if you know so and so does this to you, then do it back. Um, but in the New Testament, it says to turn the other cheek. But I mean, I fully believe that yeah, like, kind of like to attach to what you said was you have to have a connection with him. And with all the other religious um figures out in the world, you can go to different things with the Quran and different other books that with other religious figures. Um, the one thing I can always battle with that is that they all, when they died, they were dead. That was it. But Jesus is the only person that died and came back. So that right there shows you that he is the one and only Son of God. He is God, and he is your key. I mean, there was literally where when you were in the church or the temple, there was a big cloth drawn down. You could not talk to God. We couldn't talk to God. We had to go to our preacher and and have him talk to God for us. So whenever Jesus died, he split that curtain in half and said, "Now you can talk to God whenever you feel like, because now you are clean by me, because we were all
Mhm.
unclean. We weren't worthy to talk to God." So I think that the firm bonding with Jesus, and him, like I said, being the door, being the gateway. I mean, you have a. I firmly believe that the whole who can get into heaven, who can't. I mean, you put a door up and everything, but Jesus is the doorknob. How are you going to get in without a doorknob? So I firmly believe that, yeah, he is the key to get into there. And if you don't believe, then I hope you do find belief in that soon. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a topic that I would love to hear from other people too, because that was my biggest question I asked at every church when I was before I had my big whole incident of finding God. That was my biggest attack to preachers who I didn't know. I went to them and I said, if why do the Jews get go to hell? Why do these people who don't even know who God is, who are raised upon Buddha, who don't know Jesus, who can't don't even come into contact, like they are isolated and are taught to just be a monk or do
Mhm.
this, they don't have a chance to see Jesus. And I firmly believe that that's our job to go out there and do that. That's what we're supposed to do. I mean, he sent the 12
Mhm.
disciples to go out there and do it. And I think that's the same way we're supposed to do. We're supposed to go out and tell people, hey, this is Jesus. He's the one that died for your sins, to follow him. And I think that's why we kind of battle argue with, well, they don't know, but it's our job to tell them. So that's why I firmly believe that um yeah, you won't get into heaven without knowing Jesus Christ, but it also is our job as Christians to tell people. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's firmly what I think. And God, my light just fell.
Oh,
God,
was that a sign? Huh.
God, is that you? It's a cat. Um, no, the other question is, how can you believe in the Bible when science says otherwise? This often arises around evolution and in the age of the earth, or miracles described in the scripture. So that's another
Oh,
big,
that's a good one too.
big one.
Yeah, I did write a note. Well, because this is what I believe. Science isn't uh searching or trying to prove God. Science is science is just trying to find the how, and that scripture is the who and the why. So like I don't believe that the Bible is written to prove God. It is written for believers already. It's to form that relationship with God. Uh, and science, yeah, I just don't think that science is searching for God, because God would be the answer. There wouldn't e- there wouldn't be any theories to write or any.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's.
So.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's. I think I firmly believe that like you said, that is for believers. The Bible is, because it is. I mean, it talks about God and Jesus and how how we have our laws and our rules and everything. So it's meant to be a history book for us as believers. But you could definitely argue that there is things that are popping up around. I think they recently, I guess that, I guess, in this past 25 years, they've no, they think they found the Noah's Ark. They think they found it. Um, they have tested the soil, have done scans, and have you know proven that there is wood in there, and it shows that it's dated to that time. And um, people don't really realize that historians, they go to like the Bible to base off of years. They recently just found they went to some kind of Egypt thing where they were kind of going back to date with the that time period in Egypt, and it matched up to when biblical times of when the Israelites were slaves and everything. Um, there's countless, oh well, this didn't happen. Well, you can go and check at the bottom of the sea where the Roman, where the the Egyptians drowned because the river parted back into the sea parted back to normal. Um, so I think there's definitely contradictions to when you say that, hey, there's science, but yeah, science is for us. Science is for us to figure out. Oh wow, here's a phone. What's on this phone? How do you figure out this phone? What's the mechanical
Hmm.
components to this phone? Um, you're kind of battling with like science is made up of people of us, of us people. The Bible is made from God, so it's kind of the thing where you're kind of basing it off of like, hey, here's this that was made by you know a all powerful person, and here's us trying to make what we think it is, and you can constantly battle the whole science thing and the whole Bible thing, like, because people love to look for proof. That is the biggest thing. I want proof. I want this. I mean, I saw um someone on recently in a video. I think it was Cliff, the that pastor that goes to college campuses and everything. He was talking. This lady said, "If you show me Jesus's medical records, then I'll believe." And they didn't have medical records back then. And also, well, if that's the case, then okay. Well, then how do we know that George Washington was a person? Abraham Lincoln. How do we know all these historical figures that we're taught in school that were there because it was written down on a book and we believed it. So why are we contradicting the Bible then? Why are we going to battle against the Bible? And I think the firm thing is that no one questions Buddha, no one questions, everything else. They question God, and I think that because they know it's real, they know it's true,
Hmm.
and that's the only thing you can do is you can combat it because no one other. I mean, we're the only, as far as I've seen in my life, Christianity is the one that gets targeted the most, especially with Hollywood figures and all that. So, I kind of got off on a ramble here, but I firmly believe that you can contradict science with the Bible, and it's not supposed to be. You're not supposed to compare a book to another book like that. It's not. I'm not going to compare. Harry Potter to To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm not going to compare the books together and be like, oh, they're the same. Why aren't they the same? Because this and
Hmm.
that. You can't compare the same thing. Um, but science is a kind of thing where science keeps progressing. We keep progressing in science. The Bible doesn't anymore. The Bible is stopped. It's done. That's it. So the the whole point of science is to keep moving forward. That's our whole thing is to keep going. The Bible's just a history book for us. So yeah, I firmly believe. Yeah, I kind of want to add that. I think mostly on the add on to you is yeah, kind of attach that from what you said. Um, but yeah, yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, kind of just rambling now.
Yeah.
The fourth one says, why do Christians focus so much on Jesus and not other religious figures? People curious about Christianity's uniqueness or the exclusivity to Jesus as the way to God often ask this.
Austin, I like this one. Because I remembered, I don't remember what version it was, but I wrote it down. But it was in Colossians. I think it was Colossians 1 that said that Christ is the image of the invisible God. And I think that we focus on Jesus more than any of the others. That's because, well, one, because Jesus conquered sin and death, that he was a sinless human,
Yeah,
unlike us. And yeah, we got to see God through him, that we got to see God in the flesh. So, and I don't know I'm not real privy to all the other religions. I don't know if there's other religions that worship a God in the flesh. I don't really know, but yeah, I think that's why Jesus is getting some attention. Is he was God who came to earth.
Yeah, I mean, when you said the whole, we can see him because he is the God of our image. We can see him and know that okay, this is God's image. I'm kind of scrolling through my Bible right now to trying to figure out because I know there's a certain verse that he was saying to I believe it's Thomas, where Thomas didn't believe that it was Jesus that came back from the dead, so he wanted to put his hands through the holes of his hand, put his fingers through the holes of his hand, and also put his finger through his ribs. So I'm trying to find that. I know there is one though that when they are walking past the whole fig tree, well, when Philip was underneath the fig tree, talking to God, um, he said, "I saw you while you were still under the fig tree before Philip called you." Then Nathanael declared, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God, you are the King of Israel." And Jesus said, "You believe me because I told you I saw you under the fig tree. You will see greater things than that." He then added, "Very truly I tell you, you will see heaven open and the angels of God as ascending and descending on the Son of Man." Kind of referring to how, you see me because I just told you that something that you were in secret of. Um,
Hmm.
Trying to kind of go through this, but yeah, the whole thing of we believe more in Jesus. Well, I shouldn't say more in Jesus, but Jesus is our sole figure of the our whole testimony of being a Christian, because he is the one that like you said conquered sin and defeated sin for us. So he is the only way to God from us. So of course we're going to you know want to know who he is and about him and care for him because he died for us. He took our cross
Hmm.
and said, and when you get to heaven, he's gonna say, this person is clean because of him. There's a video that I saw recently. I think it's a very old video, but it was showing different people, basically what the they had different files, and the files where they had all the good things they did and all the bad things, and then the angel took the file and weighed it, and it wasn't enough, and then the last guy walked up, and Jesus walks over and says, "No, this is the wrong file. Here's the file, and it's an empty file." Basically, there's nothing on. We're a clean slate.
Hmm.
So that's why I firmly believe on you know he's the one that is fighting for us. He's the one that when we have issues, then that's what we go to. I'm trying to like talk and also trying to find this at the same time. Oh man, as I'm looking through this and trying to find it. For the whole you know um audio version, you guys are just gonna kind of hear me kind of ramble for a second. At least if you have anything that you want to add on to this while I look for this.
Well, let me think. Okay. Huh. Well, Jesus. Why is Jesus so focused on? I don't know. Maybe that's what sets us apart is that, we are created in the image of God. And then Jesus is God. So, I
I
don't
did
know. I don't know.
I did find the verse. It's in John, um John then it's to basically 24 through 29. But I'm not gonna read the whole thing. So basically, it says a week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Through the doors were locked. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your fingers here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have it not seen and yet have believed. So I firmly believe that, you know, although we can't see him, you can't see it. This, the Bible is basically what we're supposed to believe in, and also Jesus. Like, no, that's the testimony. Those are the people. I mean, with anybody, like with George Washington and Alexander Hamilton, like those people, they like wrote down things that happened. That's what's going on. So we don't get the privilege and the honor of seeing Jesus, walk the earth and everything. Um, but we get to read testimonies of what actually happened in his life and what he did. I mean, it even says in the Bible that there are so many miracles that the book could wrap around the earth 3 times. So, I
Mm,
mean, there's so many miracles and so many different things, and I firmly believe that there is other books out there from different testimonies, people who may have gotten, um, saved or healed by him, and they wrote their own testimony. Um, I don't think I don't think Mary Magdalene's testimony is in the Bible, so she might have her own version of that, because she was the one battling demons. But yeah, I firmly believe that it's just the kind of whole thing. Like, I guess to kind of go off to, like, you ever seen Polar Express? There's that angel or the spirit or something like that. And he tells the kid,
mm,
"Seeing is believing." Well, that's completely wrong. You know,
mhm,
yeah, I firmly believe that if you don't see, it's better, because seeing is you're confirming something, and that's it. Now you know it's real. You can't doubt it's real. But the unseen is the biggest thing. Um, I mean, kind of, we have a bunch of time, so I'll tell my story, to kind of explain the whole process of, like, not seeing things. Um, for the countless times, and I mean, this story, Lisa, but the countless times that when I was younger, I always kind of tempt God. I always said, "Hey, I want you to show me
yeah.
something, give me a sign, do this for me, do that for me, so I know you're here." Well, uh, a year ago, almost 2 years now, you know, my son, we woke up one morning and not lifeless, but fully limp, wasn't awake, and I think that if we waited any longer, he probably would have been gone. And
Mm,
being a person who was trying to believe in God because of the many churches that I've gone to that kind of like burned me, uh, I definitely was like, you know, praying, but in my head, I thought, he's not going to hear me. He's not going to listen to me. I'm a person that has gone back and forth with him. Um, so as we're driving to the hospital, my son's already in the ambulance, gone to the hospital. I'm having my other son with me, and I am making deals. Not with the devil, but I'm making deals with God, saying, "Hey, I've lived a long enough life. I will gladly swap places with him." Um, and it was to the point where we got to the hospital, and I think anyone who has kids, seeing your kid wrapped in different wires and stuff, that it mentally isn't good. It's definitely not, it crushes you. And with the whole, you know, unseen person, I definitely believe Jesus was in that room, because when I pray, I don't pray like how everyone else prays, and I don't really pray that much. But when I got into that hospital, out of all things, that could have been running through my mind, the first thing was go over to him and pray. And granted, I was still brand new to Christianity. I was still trying to, you know, get used to everything, learn more, and Um, and the first thing I do, I put my hand over his head and I pray, and I'm, saying, "Hey, it's the ball's in your court. Only you can do this. I don't want to lose the gift that you gave me." And I mean, I can't say word for word what I said. I definitely believe the Holy Spirit jumped into me and did things. And within, I mean, and this I sound crazy, but within 5 minutes, it was like instantly, just instant, be back to normal. He was.
Mhm.
Can't explain it. We were in the hospital for 3 or 4 days, and they ran multiple tests, multiple different scans. They cannot figure out what happened to him. To this day, we still don't have an actual answer of what happened. They
Yeah.
they say that, oh, it was an infection, or hey, he was too hot, or hey, oh, he was too cold. Everyone came to us and they had different answers, and one nurse said it was a miracle of God. We could not find anything, and it hit me like a truck. I was like, this is it. Like, I was 80% believing. Now I'm 110%. Now you can't doubt what's going on, because I think that was God's way of saying, hey, you wanted to see? There you go. Seeing is
Mhm.
believing. There you go. There's your whole point right there. There, you wanted to see? I just did it for you. And I think it was definitely not a threat from God, but God basically said, hey, what I gave you, I can take away. And I firmly believe that's what it is, the whole Job situation. He had everything, had all that, and then, you know, it was taken all away. Not by God, but God allowed it to happen, but took it all away. So, I definitely that's my biggest go to when people say, "Why do you believe in Jesus?" or "Why are you a Christian? Why how do you believe that something that's fake?" That right there, because I know for sure that I would not have my son with me, and that's the biggest thing for me. Is that it's I think there's definitely I looked at it at a standpoint of I was doing it like a whole school way. I wanted to learn the Bible like a school, and take bit by bit and study it and do this and say, oh, I'm not ready for this, I'm not ready for that. And I think that was just God's way of saying, stop doing it like a book, like a school, and do it like you're reading something that I'm saying to you.
Mhm.
Now that when I read the Bible, I mean, I've read it multiple times, and it's still there's certain parts in the Bible that I still like. Oh wow, okay, I get that now. Or oh hey, I didn't know that. Or, so I definitely believe that you know there's an unseen around us. I definitely believe there's a unseen world that we can't see, that there's a constant battle with. I firmly believe that you have one angel and one demon with you, and they battle constantly behind your back.
Mm.
And there was a person that I have a customer that he said that there's certain things that demon will do to you. That demon will jump behind your ear and say, "Hey, that girl looks really pretty, doesn't she?" And the angel behind you saying, "Hey,
Mhm.
you have a wife. Don't do that." There's certain things. So I definitely believe that um, you have that bad and a good and evil kind of standpoint behind you. So there's always something, because you can't tell me that we just out of nowhere became humans and then that's it. Like, you think that, like, the biggest thing for me is, why can I see out of this body and how can you see out of your body? Like, we have
Mm.
we have knowledge. Like, if you think about it, when you try to think, why do I see it out of my own eye? Why do I see it out of my eyes and I can't see it out of somebody else's? Your brain can't figure it out, because your spirit is in this body, in this flesh. But yeah, this flesh is the earth's. You will remain here. This body will remain here, but your spirit goes somewhere else. And I guess to kind of jump into newer time things, it's been all over the news with the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Um, when he died, there was definitely some sadness that I felt like I lost a brother, pretty much. And I didn't, I've watched him, but never knew the guy. But it felt like someone just killed my brother, and I think that we were all connected by the Holy Spirit, and I think the Holy Spirit was grieving that day, and we were all kind of grieving that day. But yeah, I kind of got I got off topic real fast, but I kind of like I got off there. I just wanted to get that off my chest. But the last one, and this one is kind of a not really a question that we get asked a lot, but it says, why does God allow bad people to prosper and the good people to suffer? And says that this is sometimes called the justice question and relates to fairness, morality, and the life's inequities.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's right. I think people ask that question more out of, yeah, why aren't things fair? Like, but gosh, I liked somebody else said this, that, and I don't know where, remember where I heard it from, but that that Satan will give you everything that you've ever wanted. So you'll kind of be going through life believing, that um, that either you're doing all of this or all of these things are coming from God, and uh, so that you'll never question your path that you're on, even though that path is leading you into darkness. You'll never question it because things are rolling so well. But I did write down. I wrote down a Bible verse a while back. Uh, in my little book here, but I think it was I think it was in Romans. Oh gosh, and there's another one that's in Matthew. That let me think of how that goes. That the sun rises and falls on good and evil, and that the and rain also falls on. Gosh, let me think on. How does that go? No, I'm really messing this up. I'm butchering it. It's been a long day. I had a lot of stuff going on today. What what is it? It's basically saying that, then God loves you when you're doing good things, and he loves you when you're doing bad things, and that okay, you might have to do some editing on this because
Is it Matthew 24:29? Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the
no,
moon will not give
I
its
think it's
light.
like Matthew. I think it's Matthew 5 about, oh, gosh, the sun uh right, oh gosh, I know it's the sun and the rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. It's the rain, is it the rain falls on the righteous and the unrighteous? It's such a ding dong. I can't remember what that is.
I'm looking. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
It's Matthew 5, right? So let's see.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it's Matthew 5.
See, this is a good thing because
Five.
I think it's always a good thing to like having to go back to your Bible and find something is I think it's I want to be able to be able to spew out verses. There is what I there's times where I just can't figure it out.
Oh, speaking of rain, yeah, I think it's getting ready to storm.
It is raining out there. It came up quick.
Was it Jesus talking and everything, or was it Matthew writing down? Because there is one at Matthew 5. It says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled."
My Bible's right here.
The salt and light, is that what you mean? Salt and light. Matthew 5:13. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under the foot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden, neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it into a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven.
Nope, not that one. But that's a good one too, though. Okay, wait, let me see. Matthew 5. I'm sure it's 5.
Ask, seek, and knock, judging others, treasures in
Matthew
heaven.
14, 12. My fingers all sticky here.
Because Matthew 5 is Jesus basically explaining all of like the laws he wants you to like fulfill or believe in.
This one is so easy. Like, this is like Sunday school. And I can't read. This is like, um, yeah, Bible 101. and
Yeah.
I can't remember. I mean, this is a really well-known verse. And for some reason, I can't remember. I think it's about
Say, giving to the needy.
this 5. Okay, okay, here it is. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is Jesus is teaching about loving your enemies. And it says he causes, okay, but I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain to the righteous and the unrighteous. So he's basically saying that even the crummy people, he still pours his love out on and hopes that you
That you
change.
notice.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so I think he's even asking us to do the same. So even, no, he doesn't expect us to be anybody's doormat or to be victim of anybody, but there's some people that it's better that you put distance between you and them, but you still pray for them. You still pray that they have a change of heart. So yeah, why? What was the question again? I forgot the question. Why?
Oh, why does God allow bad people to prosper and good people to suffer?
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Oh, but also all the things here are temporary. Like these are not, store up your treasures in heaven. These are not lasting things. So the things that we maybe getting all worked up over, like, oh, why is this so awful? It changes so quickly. Think about the things that troubled you a year ago or 5 years ago. Can you even remember what troubled you 5 years ago? What kept you up at night 5 years ago? See, those things are long gone.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, there was something that I wrote down because this was the biggest thing I wanted to answer because you know there's a lot more suffering in the world than anything. Um, but suffering in this life is inevitable. As you face challenges and hardships, trust God and why? Because not only is God present with us in our suffering, He knows our suffering firsthand. Jesus, Jesus, the suffering servant, endured much pain and struggles in his life, and suffered death on a cross to reconcile us to God. His sacrifice puts an expiration date on the suffering and secured an eternity free of it for all who follow Him. So, trusting God with your suffering because His plans are for you are good. Trusting God because He will bring an end to your pain and troubles, and trusting God because your suffering now doesn't compare to the glory that awaits. Um, and there's a verse that oh man, where is it at? There's three verses that I found that because I did some studying on this. I studied this one pretty well. um, these two verses are basically God allows suffering, but He is with us through all of it. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand." And in First Peter 5:10 it says, "And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you." God is present with us in our suffering and walks through it with us. And then this one's in Revelations 21:4. This is you know, the end of suffering. So Revelation 21:4 says, "He will wipe every tear for their eyes, and there will be no more death, no more sorrow, or crying, or pain. All these things are gone forever." We can rejoice with the hope that suffering has an expiration date. In the meantime, God will continue to be with us and use suffering for our good until the day suffering will be no more forever. So and this sounds very weird to say, but God has control over everything. But I definitely feel like the devil, Satan, or evil one, however you want to call it, has more of a grasp of us on earth because he knows that our flesh is so much more tempted to do things than our spirit is. And I mean, I've seen it firsthand. There's definitely a lot of things that I've like have been tempted to do, and then I kind of snap myself. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like, I'm actually like, I'm in this position of what am I doing here? Um, so
Sorry.
I think it's very kind of having to know. There's a Bible verse that I have on my phone that I've kept in case things where I get kind of in a pickle where I'm being tempted. Um, it's Matthew 26:41. "Watch and pray that you do not enter temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." So I
Hmm.
definitely firmly believe that
Oh
we
yeah.
we have to overcome that battle. I mean, there is a war going on that we cannot see and we do not know of, but we, as our own spirit and our own body, go through battles every day because Satan doesn't just be like, "Oh, okay, I tried Sean, but he won't be thwarted." No, he's gonna try every day, every hour, every minute to try to get you because Satan was kicked out of heavens, and now he doesn't want anyone else to go there. He wants to have the power. So, kind of what you were adding on to with the whole, um, he's not gonna say no to you, and that's how it is. Satan is gonna give you everything that you've wanted
Hmm.
because he knows that that's what you want. God will give it to you in small increments because he knows that you can only handle a certain amount of things at a time, and I firmly believe that. There are things where you have prayed for something a year ago, and if you look back at it, you have been given that to what you prayed for, and that's I
Hmm.
firmly believe it. I mean, my wife and I we were praying for kids, tried consistently, and it wouldn't happen, and then we were blessed with twins, and then now we have a daughter. So I mean, it's it's things that you pray for in the past that are happening right now and you don't see because there are other things that you're complaining about, saying, "Oh, well, like it's so hard to buy food right now." Well, it's not that. I mean, it's something that you have to like when people say prosper and suffer, I firmly believe that something that is prospering is someone who has a nice life, who is spiritually good. I mean, I could say that I am blessed. I can feel like I am prosper because I have everything I need, have everything that I want. Now there are things that my body wants and everything, but spirit wise, I'm content. I am full. And the whole suffering thing is such a construction of what suffering is, because suffering can be a multiple of things. I could be suffering because I want money, and you could be suffering because you want food or you want something else, or I'm suffering because I didn't get the newest iPhone. Um, so it's a very hard sentence to kind of fight with, um, because everybody's suffering is different. Um, so my biggest thing is, if you're prospering, if you know Jesus, you know God, you are you're not sitting on a street and wondering when your next meal is. Those are things that you're prospering. The people who are out on the street are begging for food and begging for money, don't know where they're going to do the next day, don't know if they're going to survive the next day. That that is suffering. Not knowing God, that's suffering because that's all they're dealing with.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, that's basically that was my final answer. Um, I mean, if you don't have anything else you want to add to it, that was pretty much it. That was the five common questions that Christians often get asked today, and I don't think it's questions that we get asked. I definitely believe it's um, non-believers try to use those as targets to us. Those are more battle questions, but uh, anybody who has answers that are different from ours, by all means, let us know because I would love to see what the answers are. Because I mean, everybody has their own answer for different things. So, uh, yeah. Do you have any words you want to end on, or
Yeah, questions are good. God is not afraid of your questions. Knock and the door will be open to you. So keep asking questions.
yeah, there you go. I mean, yeah. Thank you for stopping by, and like I said, this is followers for with questions. So I mean, it's that's all we have. We have questions. So, yeah, appreciate everybody for stopping by, and that's it.
Thanks for having me. I'll see you next time.